right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Solar storm. The northern lights have been seen across the bi-state region this evening when this solar storm peaks, and if there's still time to catch Mother Nature's light show.
A missing child found, surrounded by filth.
You just, walk by these people every day and you don't think that, anything's going on.
Now a mother behind bars for kidnapping her own child. Our top story, death and destruction in the wake of Hurricane Milton.
I can tell you, we are in for a long recovery.
The relief effort kicking off across Florida. Destruction across Florida tonight. Hurricane Milton slammed into the state last night, killing at least a dozen people and leaving millions without power. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. Florida officials warn the number of deaths is likely to rise from last night's storm as first responders assess the damage. CNN's Lee Waldman shows us the recovery effort is just beginning.
Oh my God! There's water in our car!
Sheer terror can be heard in the voice of Angie Dooley while fleeing her home as water levels rose to dangerous levels by 4 a.m. Thursday in Daytona Beach.
I can tell you, we are in for a long recovery.
Hurricane Milton cut a path of destruction through Florida, carrying boats ashore, toppling 18-wheelers, and destroying homes. But the greatest tragedy seems to have taken place in St. Lucie County, about 150 miles from landfall, where multiple tornadoes ravaged the area.
Tornadoes on the ground, ripping through our county in a northern direction, leaving hundreds of homes devastated, completely totaled. And it unfortunately struck a retirement community that was mainly modular homes, where we did have loss of life.
Volusia County extending a curfew overnight Thursday.
Please, this is not the time for our citizens and our visitors here to Volusia County to be out on the roads.
While many residents are eager to get back home, gas shortages are still an issue, with nearly 1 in 5 stations running dry during evacuations. Ships and tankers are working to refill those stations in the next 48 hours. Relief much needed, as Milton is the third hurricane to hit Florida this year.
The fact that these two storms have impacted the same area, our hearts go out to those people that are impacted. It's very difficult to go through something like this.
In Sarasota, Florida, I'm Lee Waldman.
Right now, officials are estimating the damage up to $50 billion. Florida alerted Missouri officials they won't be needing the help. Governor Mike Parson says the Missouri National Guard and the Department of Public Safety resources were ready to be deployed on Wednesday. However, today they were told Florida officials were canceling the request for emergency assistance. Missouri Task Force 1 will remain in North Carolina to continue assisting there with relief efforts. One Missouri woman is hitting the road to help those impacted by the hurricane. Renee Kennedy owns a food truck in Rolla, and she's driving it to Florida to provide free meals and drinks from her entire inventory. She's also packed the truck full of water, gas, stoves, propane tanks, and generators that people can use. Kennedy says she hopes her actions will inspire others to step up and help.
Hopefully it's contagious, and other people can start helping and seeing that we're all together. We're all in this together. We just have to help each other. And these are really good people down there.
Kennedy is also asking the community for supply donations. She says she's going to stay down there as long as it takes to make a difference. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell was tracking the storm all week. So, Scott, what can you tell us about the impact Milton had on that region down there?
Well, this is the second storm in 2 weeks for that west coast of Florida dealing with the storm surge. And the storm surge with Helene was actually worse in most cases than Milton's was. And Milton's storm surge did not go into Tampa Bay. That was huge, about 20 miles farther south. If that thing had gone 20 miles farther north, it would have been a whole different story. Either way, they had over 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts around Tampa with tornadoes, as you saw, the flooding rains, the surge. Over 1 million in the Tampa metro remain without power. If you're trying to get a hold of someone, try texting. The phone calls don't always go through. Now we got to talk about what's going on here. I don't know if I've been this excited for a long time. Look at Kara near Hamill here. This is the way it started. That's the way it's gone. The northern lights, the aurora borealis. We are in a solar storm right now. Morgan with this picture near Brighton, Illinois. Here's another one from Audrey in Macoupin County as well. Got a lot of pictures around the area. How about Larry out in Wentzville? A lot of color with this tonight. This storm is still going on, and there are some substorms in there where all of a sudden you kind of get some extra color. That could still happen That will be before sunrise. Find a dark area away from city lights and use that long exposure on your camera or cell phone. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Tonight, a St. Louis County mother is behind bars charged with kidnapping her own son. New tonight, our Robert Townsend is in the newsroom with more on the allegations and the disgusting conditions police say they previously found the toddler living in. Robert?
Mike, 24 hours ago, you remember police were searching for the little boy who was reported missing by his father. The dad has custody of the child. Today, police say they found the 2-year-old safe.
Yes, I've seen her before.
Joe Pepito is talking about Aaron Stiles. The St. Louis County mother is now charged with kidnapping her 2-year-old son.
At the end of the day, I just wasn't expecting it, so yeah, it's shocking.
Pepito says Stiles recently lived across the hallway from his apartment in North County.
She would always seem unassuming, which is why, like I said, I never assumed that she was even doing anything of what they're accusing her of.
According to court documents, the 29-year-old Stiles didn't have custody of her son. Investigators say Stiles picked up her toddler from the North County Rec Center on Sunday and refused to return him to his father. Police say the child didn't have his daily medication and his father reported him missing.
She would always come out in like this basket, this roller basket. That's why we have the ramp right there. So that was made for her. She would always have her son in the basket.
Court papers also reveal in August a grand jury indicted Stiles on property damage charges during a separate incident in June. Police say at that time Stiles told them she didn't have anyone to watch her son and she left him alone in her apartment. Officers say when they went to the residence, the victim was located inside of a crib with no mattress with the metal supports exposed. They say the toddler was sweaty and only wearing a diaper. They say the apartment had an evident cockroach infestation, moldy food in the sink, rotting food in the refrigerator and kitchen sink, and bathroom sink appeared to not be in working order. And police reported seeing trash and urine on the floor.
It's pretty sad, and it just goes unnoticed because you just walk by these people every day and you don't think that anything's going on.
In a statement, St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell said, quote, "There are things you simply cannot do, and this defendant will be held accountable for her brazen disregard of the father's custodial rights and the court's order." Stiles is charged with parental kidnapping and child endangerment. She's in jail tonight on a $250,000 cash-only bond.
Tonight, Webster University is asking for your help after more than a dozen of their international students lost their housing and belongings in a fire. Webster started a crowdfunding campaign to raise money for the students. Right now, the students are staying in temporary housing while the school looks for a long-term solution. They're also holding a clothing drive at the school on Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can find a link to that campaign on KSDK.com. New federal guidelines are prompting cities everywhere to take action when it comes to lead exposure. St. Louis leaders are concerned about the dangerous metal creeping up in the drinking water. 5 on your side's Brent Solomon joins us live to explain how you will be part of the solution. Brent?
Well, Mike, lead can pop up in dust, soil, paint, even your water service lines. This month, new federal guidelines go into place to try to prevent that type of contamination. City officials routinely test for it, but they say they could use your help. The city of St. Louis says historic data shows of some 113,000 water service lines, 9,000 are believed to have lead. But for more than half of the total water lines, city officials don't know whether there's lead or not. That's where you come in. Soon, some city residents may get this survey in the mail, asking what type of material is in your pipes and whether the service lines have ever been replaced.
And so if you're in an older house, you may have a house that has a lead pipe bringing water in, and especially if that pipe is disrupted in some way, you have repairs or something, that allows lead to leach out of the pipe into the water, the drinking water in a house or school or any other area that has those types of pipes.
Pediatrician Josh Arthur is most concerned about how lead exposure affects children. He says typically adults may get sick for a while, but he says lead doesn't tend to stay in their bodies as it does in kids.
They have rapidly developing brains and bodies, which means that lead can become incorporated into their bones and into their brains and stored actually for long periods of time because they're growing in a way that an adult is not.
Thursday, a city spokesperson saying for more than 20 years, the city has been treating its water with an optimized corrosion control treatment strategy, which minimizes the absorption of lead from customer service lines or internal plumbing. The Water Division routinely tests city water, and this treatment has been shown to be effective in keeping lead levels in customers' homes well below the U.S. EPA action level.
Now, if lead gets into your drinking supply, the city of St. Louis wants to help homeowners replace their water lines. The city applied for federal assistance to help make that happen. Meantime, if you want to reduce your exposure to lead contamination, go ahead and check out this story in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. Mike.
Brent, thanks. Senator Josh Hawley brought a special guest with him today for a rally in Cottleville. Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker joined the senator on the campaign trail. Hawley repeated many of his campaign stances about illegal immigration, abortion, and strengthening the economy. He also brought up bringing the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act back for a vote in the House. The bill would bring financial support for St. Louisans exposed to radioactive waste.
It is basic justice. The people of this region and this state deserve to be compensated for the harm that the federal government inflicted upon them. We passed it twice now in the Senate with 70 votes. Nothing passes in the Senate with 70 votes. Nothing passes in the Senate. So this is a huge accomplishment, but the House has got to pass it.
His Democratic opponent, Lucas Kuntz, responded to the rally, blasting Hawley for declining a televised debate today by the League of Women Voters to instead hold this event with Butker. An organization helping the families of fallen first responders honored one of their own tonight. Backstoppers held a retirement dinner for their executive director, Chief Ron Batel. He's set to retire at the end of the year. Chief Batel served with the St. Louis County Police Department for nearly 40 years. He helped Backstoppers more than double the amount of counties they serve in Missouri and Illinois.
I'm ready to move on. You know, I got some things my wife and I want to do and places we want to go and see. But on the other hand, I'll always be a part of Backstoppers and I'll be there helping them regardless.
Most recently, Backstoppers has helped the families of fallen St. Louis police officer David Lee and St. Louis Deputy Sheriff Dennis Boyd.
A district in distress.
It's so chaotic with the buses.
I feel like it's really unfair.
The I-Team traces the problem to a spending slip-up, how the district lost millions as parents demand answers.
I want to know what education is going to look like for my 3-year-old.
A lesson from Mother Nature tonight as the solar storm lights up much of the northern half of the U.S. When this solar storm fades and the changes coming next week that may have us covering some of our tender vegetation.
Tonight, our I-Team reveals allegations of mismanagement within St. Louis Public Schools. The district, once boasting a healthy financial surplus, is now grappling with a staggering $35 million deficit. Parents, teachers, and community members are demanding answers. Senior investigative reporter Paula Vasson uncovers where some of that money went and what it means for students.
In North St. Louis City, Shantae Vaughn worries daily about leaving work early to pick up her daughter, Jenna, a student at Sumner High School. Earlier this year, Jenna's bus service was cut. The district replaced it with a van service amid severe driver shortages, but they say it's unreliable.
It's a trickle-down effect.
It makes people not even want to go to school. I feel like it's really unfair.
Parents like Shantae are feeling the impact as unreliable transportation forces them to choose between work and ensuring their kids make it to class.
It's so chaotic with the buses either coming extremely late, 30, 45 minutes late, or not coming at all.
She wants to know where her taxpayer money is going.
Are you saying that the bus issues, the transportation issues, are reflective of a broader problem?
Very much so. There's something going on.
Here at the district's headquarters, questions about the root of those issues are being raised. But many parents like Shantae feel completely left in the dark. In just 1 year, the district swung from a $17 million surplus to a $35 million deficit.
Let's get to the bottom of what's really going on.
Current and former staff largely blame bad contracts, alleging favoritism and insufficient vetting. Records show a contract of at least $450,000 was approved for Wright Associates, led by a former colleague of ousted Superintendent Keisha Scarlett. SLPS employees tell the I-Team it was supposed to streamline vendor payments, but was a waste. They say much of the work focused on what you see here, movement and breathing exercises. Internal emails reveal SLPS financial analysts warned about missing documentation tied to other contracts. One employee wrote, "I cannot do my job if I don't have the documents for compliance."
There's a vetting process that fell through the cracks.
We took these concerns directly to SLPS Board Vice President Matt Davis.
Do you think you and the board failed by not being critical enough?
In hindsight, obviously, the job was probably too big and the consultants were there to try to help, and it was not a help.
He says the current deficit was planned, allowing the district to keep investing in school programs while still having money in the bank. At the same time, he says many contracts have been wasteful.
What are you going to do differently?
There's safeguards that we need to put into place. A lot of those are in the policies, but the policies aren't being followed.
And for Shantae, that means resources taken away.
Let's throw that $450,000 behind our teachers. Let's throw it behind upgrading the technology. I want to know what education is going to look like for my 3-year-old.
Former Superintendent Keisha Scarlett insists she did nothing wrong and plans to fight her dismissal. Wright Associates has yet to respond to the serious allegations of wasting taxpayer money. We'll keep digging into SLPS finances to make sure every dollar goes where it should, supporting our students. For the I-Team, Paula Basan, 5 on your side.
And if you have a tip for Paula, you can leave a voicemail at 314-444-5231. You can also send an email to paula@ksdk.com, and all calls and correspondence will be kept confidential. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the weather impact forecast. You're getting a forecast. You're getting some beautiful pictures in from some of our viewers.
Yes, our Weather Watchers tonight really coming through on the 5 on your side Weather Watchers Facebook group. This is Chris up in Staunton, Illinois. Look at those colors tonight with the northern lights. And this has been quite the solar storm impacting us, going back to very similar to what we saw back in May. Rick down in Jefferson County, look at that color. Now, in most cases, you do have to use your phone, kind of put it up there and do the 3-second picture to see the really good color like this. But there's still that faint glow, even without it for a lot of places, especially if you're away from town. But here's Christy near Baldwin, and, you know, we're fighting city lights here, still able to see some color, and it basically ebbs and flows. It all depends on how we get the reaction as the solar storm swings over the Earth's magnetosphere. But wow. Pretty amazing, right? So temperatures have dropped back into the 60s. Perfect conditions tonight. You still have the opportunity perhaps to see some of those northern lights. You know, the index is still high and forecast to stay up at least through 3 or 4 o'clock. But again, as we know, with these solar storms, they kind of ebb and flow. Can you imagine being on a flight tonight and seeing that? Flights have been running on time here out at Lambert tonight. Most of the weather pretty quiet with the exception of the southeast. We're at 65 now at Lambert. We made it up to 83 this afternoon. That's 11 degrees above average. The low was right on target at 51. We're going to trend in the other direction towards cooler weather for next week. But before we get there, a couple more above average days. Temperatures tonight in town in the 50s, 40s outlying areas. We will jump tomorrow temperature wise. Low 80s by 1 o'clock. The winds are still light tomorrow. You're in the mid 80s for highs tomorrow afternoon. Once again, above average Saturday, upper 80s. And yes, we're talking the first frost. For Metro St. Louis, that average date's October 10th. That's today through the 25th. And it does vary, but that's kind of your average time frame. But you know, the eastern Ozarks, the rural areas, you folks in those normally colder spots, you know it happens earlier. October 5th to the 15th. Guess what? Next week, the early morning hours, particularly on Tuesday into Wednesday, we may have temperatures down into the 30s in some spots. Kind of looking at that here as we go towards Tuesday morning. We think there's enough of a breeze Tuesday morning to keep from having too much frost. But come Wednesday morning, even in town, we're around 40 degrees, which means some of our colder spots will be in that 34, 35, 36 degree range. So yeah, we may have some frost concerns going into next week. We'll keep you updated on that. In the meantime, There is no rain in our forecast for the next 7 days. You know, it's a little on the dry side. We could use some. So if you planted something, you seeded the lawn, grab the sprinkler.
Yeah, you'll need it. All right, Scott, thanks. Corey is here with sports.
Well, it's a late night for the Blues, a dramatic night in Major League Baseball, and a clutch night for our hometown hero in the WNBA Finals. Stick around, sports is up next.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
We won't see the Blues here in St. Louis for the first time this season until Tuesday. Tonight it was a late start in San Jose against the Sharks, but it did not take long for this one to get interesting. This year's #1 overall pick, Macklin Celebrini, making his NHL debut tonight for the Sharks against St. Louis, and wouldn't you know it, he finds the back of the net. Now he gets some help from Matthew Kessel's skate, but it's his first goal nonetheless, 1-0 Sharks. Blues responded. Pavel Buchnevich lights the lamp less than 2 minutes later. The Sharks have taken the lead back, though. They lead 2-1 at the first intermission.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
While the season is winding down for the big club at City Park, it may just be ramping up for the second team. City SC2 finished the regular season second out of 29 teams. Now they'll host a home playoff game against LAFC2 on October 20th. One of the most important pieces for City 2 is Columbia High School senior Caden Glover. Yes, the striker has seen some action with the first team this season, but now, along with Makai Joyner and Brendan McSorley, he is powering City 2's offense as they chase a title. The 17-year-old Glover is staying patient for an extended chance with the big club and is focused on winning a trophy for City 2.
Yeah, I mean, patience is definitely a huge thing. I think if you get ahead of yourself, then you start to lose the focus on the main goal, and it's just continuing to step up through the ranks. Yeah, I mean, we all believe in ourselves. We believe that we'll win the whole thing. I'm not trying to jinx yourself anymore, but I think that having confidence in your goal is going to bring us a long way.
Number 23, Illinois football is back in action off a bye week this weekend. They will host an opponent Brett Bielema has yet to defeat as head coach in Champaign. In fact, Illinois hasn't beaten Purdue since 2019. The Illini can't look forward to next week against Michigan. They have a rivalry trophy case that's looking a little empty.
When I came in, you know, one of the first things we did is build a trophy case, right? And we were able to get Northwestern in there for a couple, but we lost it last year, and we've never been able to get Purdue, so it's sat empty, and that's kind of the way I've approached the whole week. We can talk about it, and express our opinion and desire to have it, but until you touch it, see it, smell it, feel it, like it's not there, right?
ALCS elimination games. Jose Ramirez and the Guardians trying to stay alive against AJ Hinch's Tigers. 7th inning, Tigers up 3-2. Here comes David Fry as a pinch hitter, and there goes the Detroit lead. Guardians pull ahead 4-2 on the 2-run shot. Emmanuel Clase strikes out CBC's Matt Vierling to end it. Cleveland wins 5-4, and we will have a Game 5 on Saturday. Old friend Michael Wacha trying to keep the Royals alive against the Yankees. He gave up 2 runs in 4 2/3 tonight. Yankees made it 3-0 on this Giancarlo Stanton single in the 6th. This used to be a great American League rivalry. We got a little bit of that tonight as the bench is cleared. No punches thrown, though. The final metaphorical punch came from New York on the scoreboard. Another old friend, Luke Weaver, closes it out. Yankees win 3-1 to advance to the ALCS. WNBA Finals Game 1, Incarnate Word alum Nafisa Collier's Minnesota Lynx against the New York Liberty. Crazy game. Lynx came back from down 18 to take the lead, but they fouled Brianna Stewart at the end of regulation. She makes one, misses a second. We go to OT. Spike Lee can't believe it. And in OT, Collier is clutch. That spin around fadeaway gave the Lynx the lead with 10 seconds left. New York cannot tie it, and Minnesota takes Game 1, 95-93 in dramatic fashion. 5 on your sideline appetizer tonight, Parkway North and Parkway West. Defensive battle in the first half. Host of Vikings all over the West quarterback on that sack. North would get on the board through the air first, though. Dakari Hollis to Marvin Martin for the touchdown. 6-0 Vikings. Just before the half, they had a nice coordinated celebration, too. I think they practiced that. Jet Johnson, that's a great name for a defensive back, by the way. He comes flying in, gets the interception for West. North does go on to win this rivalry game, though. 32-14. So Nafisa Collier won a gold medal in Paris, and she is inching her way closer to winning a WNBA title. That's a pretty good year.
It's amazing, too, how many former Cardinals are in the playoffs.
I tried not to bring that up, Mike.
Coming up, Halloween is roaring into St. Louis a little early. How the zoo is getting into the Halloween spirit. Things are getting spooky ahead of Halloween at the St. Louis Zoo. Boo at the Zoo kicked off today at 5:30 and runs every night until October 30th. The event features jugglers, magicians, and other live entertainment. Tickets are on sale for $15. And a live look now at Enterprise Center, where a few new food options are coming for Blues fans. The team announced that they're adding two big names, such as a Wendy's cart for Frosties and a Freddy's frozen custard location. They're also adding more local names like Rosalita's Cantina and Bold Spoon Creamery. Ooh. And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis. That begins at 4 a.m. And have a great tomorrow.